Hey everybody, in this video I'm discussing the full moon in Leo, January the 25th, 2024. A full moon is a time when everything that's been simmering kind of comes to the surface. It can be a time of culmination or a time of closure. A lot of this depends on the new moon, where new ideas were begun, new opportunities begun on January the 11th. That was the last new moon. And this full moon on January the 25th is going to describe how all of this is panning out in general for most people for the next 2 weeks or until the next new moon in Aquarius on February the 9th. Now, the new moon, January the 11th, was one of the best new moons for most people because it depends on your own individual horoscope. But it was one of the best new moons because progressive, liberating Uranus was in harmony with the new moon. So it was bringing a lot of new opportunities, new ways of looking at life, thinking out of the box. Uranus can help people be more open to technology, original thinking, and so we have to look to how is that in general manifesting with the full moon. This full moon is in Aquarius, meaning that, well, the sun's in Aquarius, the moon's in Leo, because the full moon is when the moon is in exact opposition to the sun. This full moon in Leo is being strongly impacted by Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is about opportunities and luck and expansion. The problem here we got to be careful about is Jupiter, when it's in a hard angle, when everything is manifesting and coming to a head, the Jupiter can be a time of overinflated expectations, overdoing, spending too much money, eating too much. But with Jupiter, you're having a really good time. But there's some other more stabilizing energies that will help all of that expansiveness be more realistic. And after I'm done kind of explaining the overview of this full moon, which is going to bring a lot of growth, lots of potential luck and opportunity because of the Jupiter, I then going to look at some various planetary events for those next 2 weeks until the next new moon. And most of these planetary transits are positive. Venus, pleasure-seeking, creative, romantic Venus, going to be in harmony with lucky Jupiter. Communication Mercury is going to be in harmony with Uranus. Assertive Mars, confident Mars, will be in harmony with progressive Uranus. Mercury, discerning Mercury, will be in harmony with Neptune. Venus, pleasurable, creative Venus, will be in harmony with Uranus. Assertive Mars will be in harmony with Neptune. So what do we got here? 6 very important planetary events, all quite positive for these next 2 weeks, from the full moon on the 25th to the new moon on February the 9th. So before I break down what the full moon chart is trying to manifest, and then later we're going to get into what are these really important planetary events that most of them are really positive. So the year with January the 11th, 2024, with the new moon excellent with Uranus, it was promising a lot of exciting new opportunities. This full moon and all these positive transits are just accelerating the promise. So January 2024, for most people, is going to be jump-starting a lot of luck and growth and opportunity. So before I break all that down, if you enjoy these kinds of videos and would like to see more of them, click like and subscribe. And don't forget to click on the notification bell so you can receive the latest postings. And if you go into the description box underneath the video, you'll find a direct link to sign up for my free daily horoscope, or a link to go to my website, and you can inquire about booking an astrology reading or learning about my 2-question offer. All right, let's break down this full moon. With the full moon, emotions can run high, but things that have been kind of hidden are more revealed. But with the full moon in fiery Leo, there's a lot of exuberance in general, a lot of optimism, and Leo is playful, it's creative, it's romantic. Leo is associated with children. Whether you're more involved with children, giving birth to children, or your inner child wants to come out and play. But this full moon is forming a T-square to Jupiter. What a T-square is, if you remember from high school geometry, you have this opposition between the sun at 5 degrees of Aquarius on the 25th of January, and on the exact peak of that full moon, the moon will be at 5 degrees of Leo. So here's the opposition between the sun and the moon. At the midpoint of that opposition is Jupiter. Jupiter at 6 degrees of Taurus is forming a 90-degree angle to the sun on one side and a 90-degree angle to the moon on the other. So that's what I mean by that. Jupiter is grabbing that full moon and channeling this energy through Jupiter. But Jupiter brings a lot of optimism, a lot of luck. But when it's in this hard angle, these two squares are forming the T-square, it can bring in some overdoing it, really feeling like you'll go ahead and spend all that money because money is great and it'll just keep coming in if that's your issue. It's just there's all these potential optimisms that can bring in inflated expectations. So you want to enjoy the opportunities and the optimism, but you need to be realistic. Here we go with moderation is definitely going to win the game. If you're going for the big pie in the sky, you may have to cut back, you may be disappointed, but with all these potential opportunities, if you keep more grounded, more moderate, you're going to gain a lot of growth. Now, some other really positive energies with this full moon chart, that the Jupiter is also going to be trining Venus. The trine is the 120-degree angle. It's the best flow of energies. So Venus trining Jupiter Venus is pleasurable, it's creative, it's romantic. That Venus-Jupiter can help also with the overindulging and the overspending. However, here's the good news. Saturn, realistic, pragmatic Saturn, is at the midpoint between the Venus and the Jupiter. And the Saturn keeps you more realistic, more practical, more grounded. So this Saturn with in the midpoint between Venus, Jupiter is very favorable for making financial plans. Very favorable for manifesting creative projects because the Saturn will, with all that opportunity, but the Saturn will keep you focused, disciplined, and grounded. When Jupiter is in harmony with Saturn, plus it's with, it brings in that beneficial energy of Venus, because Venus is one of the big benefic energies of the zodiac. But the Saturn on the full moon, on the 25th, will be at 5 degrees, almost 6 degrees of Pisces. Jupiter is at 6 degrees of Taurus. So it's almost a perfect 60-degree angle, which is an angle of opportunity. But you got to grab the opportunity and work with it. When Jupiter is in harmony with Saturn, overall, it's really favorable for economic manifestation, feeling really grounded and supportive. And connecting with the Venus, not only can that apply to creative projects, but also with finances, because Saturn is the business, but also when it comes to love, relationships. This could be if you meet somebody new during this full moon or over the next week or so, there's a good chance that this relationship, if you keep your eyes open and pay attention to any red flags, but for the most part, that Saturn to the Venus will bring a relationship that's real, that can have longevity. Now, if you've been having problems in a relationship, or relationships have been somewhat of a struggle, that Saturn will help ground it, bring some resolution, help you feel more solid with the relationship. But we're not done with all the good news, all these great opportunities to really uplift our spirits moving into 2024. Mercury, the planet of information communication, it's the business savvy planet. Mercury is about negotiations, about meetings, it's about selling, writing, and that Mercury is aligned with Mars, aggressive, assertive Mars. Mars is very fiery, it heats up the Mercury, giving you a much more courage and passion when it comes to negotiations. Now, it can bring in being more argumentative, maybe a little bit more stressed out, more anxious, but that Mercury-Mars is trining or in harmony to Uranus. Uranus is all that progressive energies, that futuristic energies. So with Uranus positive or trining the Mercury, the mind, you're more open to original thinking out of the box, more open, not afraid of technology, or taking some, or even outside of all of that, learning Mercury, being curious Mercury, not just about new technology, but maybe some new alternative learning subjects. Mix that with the full moon focused on Jupiter. All I was talking about with Jupiter is it can be too much optimism, too much expectations, but what are the qualities of Jupiter that could be going over the top? Jupiter is associated with travel, international long-distance travel. Jupiter represents higher education or teaching, which pulls us into the domain of publishing or marketing. So this could be this big push to really expand your business with internet marketing, or finally setting up an online business. That's all under the domain of Jupiter. So mostly everything that's promised in this full moon chart is incredibly positive, but it could be, in some ways, you may get too excited, thinking it's too much of a good thing. You might just be becoming so revved up, you forget to be more grounded and slow it down and sleep on it before jumping the gun and getting all excited and making all kinds of big, important decisions. So moderation wins the race. Now, with this full moon that is strong, impacting everybody, to the next new moon in 2 weeks on February the 9th. During these 2 weeks, as I said, there's at least 6 very favorable planetary events. There aren't any really negative, harsh planetary events that really, but remember, it may just keep jump-starting the optimism, giving too much, like everything's going to work out. This is going to be the luckiest time of my life. Just pull it back and lower the bar, and things will progress a lot more favorably. But if you're expecting $1 million and you're only getting $100,000, you could be disappointed. But if you're just hoping that you'll make some kind of profit and you get the $100,000 and you kept your expectations lower, you will be a real happy camper. Now, so the full moon is on January the 25th. By the 28th, there are 2 really important planetary events, very positive, on the 28th. Venus, relational, diplomatic, creative Venus, will be trining or in harmony with expansive Jupiter. That Venus-Jupiter was promised in the full moon chart, but the degrees weren't exact. So that when it's exact, that could be the triggering, the manifestation, January the 28th, Venus to Jupiter. Whatever you're desiring, whatever you're valuing, Venus can be creative, can be romantic. You're going to be feeling, because of the Jupiter, a lot of positive movement and opportunity. Mercury, remember I talked about Mercury in harmony with Uranus. Well, that'll peak also on the 28th. The new ideas come in out of the blue. You're more open to thinking out of the box, trying something all different. Today, a lot with technology. Then the next day, on January the 29th, assertive, ambitious Mars will be in harmony with Uranus. This is typical of having a lot of courage, taking a lot of risk, but feeling really solid about it. And then you've got this whole support system of this positive full moon chart if you just keep more realistic and grounded. But the Mars to Uranus is really favorable for giving you the courage to take bold risk. Now, it's also very favorable for all things technological, because Uranus rules the technology. The Mars can be dealing with work projects. On the February the 2nd, 2024, discerning, business savvy, communication Mercury will be in harmony with empathetic, inspiring, creative Neptune. So February the 2nd, having Neptune, it's a sextile, a 60-degree angle with Mercury to Neptune. It's really triggering a lot of compassion, intuition, creativity. You could be inspired by others. You could be inspiring others. That's the Mercury-Neptune. It can also open up a lot of looking more long-term, more visionary. That's the Mercury-Neptune. On February the 5th, Mercury's aligning with Pluto. When communication Mercury aligns with Pluto, can be a double-edged sword, because the Mercury is about trying to communicate. That Pluto can be this manipulation, these power struggles. Somebody may be trying to convince you of a certain agenda, or you're trying to influence somebody else, and there could be these intense power struggles. Pluto rules the underworld. On February the 5th, you may be keeping secrets, or secrets are revealed. But the positive, it's just energy, and if you're seeing the negative energy, try to direct it more to the positive possibilities. Where Mercury, what you're interested in, what you're thinking and learning, with the underworld, Pluto, could be much more of studying and going really deep and doing research, or being much more curious about psychology. That's the underworld. Or any type of investigation. That's the underworld. Or the occult, which includes astrology. And it might be a really great day for counseling or having an astrology reading, because your mind is being influenced by probing Pluto that really wants to get to the heart of the matters. On February the 7th, Venus, creative, relational, pleasure-seeking Venus, will be in harmony with eclectic, progressive Uranus. Venus in harmony with Uranus, it's a trine. You could be making new friends, or a friend from the past just shows up and you're reconnecting and you're getting really excited. Uranus represents not only friendships, but group activities. And so this would be an excellent day to join a group, or to be hanging out with friends, getting involved with some type of a party and a social event with that Venus-Uranus. Some of you on the 7th could have an unexpected attraction or infatuation. Also on that same day, February the 7th, Mars, courageous, assertive Mars, will be in harmony, a sextile 60 degrees, to Neptune. Now, Mars to Neptune, everything that's compassionate and sensitive, inspiring of Neptune, the Mars can give the push. Now, this could be very favorable for doing charity work, healing work, but on a completely different level, Mars can deal with muscles and your energies. And so Mars in harmony, physical Mars in harmony with creative, inspiring Neptune could be really favorable energy for dancing. And with the Mars and with Venus on the same day, excellent with Uranus, you might find yourself, being with a group of people, making new friends, going out dancing. Neptune is also the god of the seas, and so it represents water. And Mars in harmony with Neptune could be really favorable for swimming or any kind of water sports. Then finally, on the day before the new moon, on the 9th, on the 8th, the only really worrisome and not really worrisome transit is the Sun in Aquarius will form a 90-degree angle to Uranus in Taurus. These hard angles of the Sun to Uranus, the conjunction, the squares, the opposition, about 4 times a year. It can bring some unexpected surprises or unexpected upsets. But the positive is the sun is shining a light on how to break out of old stuck routines, how to reinvent yourself. But there might be a surprising shock that could turn out to be a blessing when you wake up and I got to change this. I got to let this go. And then on February the 9th is the next new moon, starting a new monthly cycle in the sign of Aquarius. I want to thank you for watching. If you like information on how to book an astrology reading, sign up for my free daily messages, visit my website at gardino.co. That's .co. Until the next lunar cycle, be safe and well.